wild and swift, and almost impossible to tame in any way. Do you agree that it sounds like a wild animal? Nevertheless, in China, these vicious animals are kept on farms that do not have fences around them. In a single day, a wild boar may consume up to 5 kilograms of food, travel for miles, and recall where they ate for more than a year, more intelligent than some dogs. So, how do they keep it going? Let us take a deep dive into the wild boar farming world that China has to offer. The wild hog, which is the ancestral parent of the domestic pig that we have today, was initially domesticated in China and the Middle East a little over 9,000 years ago. The descendants of this species can be found all over the world, including in North Africa, Asia, Europe, and even the United States. Wild boars, who are known for their excellent recall, are known to be able to remember routes and sources of food just as well as dogs or even chimps. It is possible that wild boars appear to be too dangerous and too wild to be raised at first appearance. To put things into perspective, farmers in certain regions of China have discovered a method that is both unexpectedly natural and ingenious. There will be no concrete enclosures or congested barns. During the day, many people simply allow the boars to roam freely through the nearby forests, much as their ancestors did hundreds of years before. This type of farming is referred to as semi-wild farming. The boars like to wander around, dig, and graze, and as the sun goes down, they frequently go back to their pens on their own. How about the breeds? Pigs are often only a few months old and full of curiosity when they are selected by farmers. Piglets are sturdy and healthy. These are unique hybrids that combine characteristics of wild boars and domestic pigs. It is possible to maintain the meat's robust and wild flavor while at the same time making the animals on the farm a little bit easier to manage. Although wild boars are not picky eaters, they do consume a lot of food because they are well fed. One adult pig can consume up to 5 kilograms of food on a daily basis. That's close to 50 apples. How about their diet? Rather than being a dull pig feed, the fresh greens, sweet potatoes, grains, and even fruits are provided to them. As a result of their habit of digging through the soil in search of food, they contribute to the loosening of the dirt, the germination of seeds, and the support of the natural regeneration of the ecosystem. On certain farms, the drinking water is infused with Chinese medicinal herbs, such as ginseng or astragalus, in order to assist in the enhancement of the immune system. As opposed to domestic pigs, wild boars are not as easy to breed as domestic pigs, but, if the conditions are good, a single sow can give birth to anywhere from 5 to 8 piglets per litter, and sometimes even more. There is no resemblance between the appearance of wild boar piglets and that of an actual pig. They have stripes across their backs that are brown, yellow, and black, precisely like the backs of newborn tigers, but much smaller. The stripes allow them to blend in with the grass and leaves, which allows them to hide from potential predators. When they are between 3 and 4 months old, their fur begins to darken, and they begin to resemble their adult parents. In order to keep track of the piglets, farmers also tag their ears, and you are correct, the males are typically castrated at a young age. In the future, the meat will be more flavorful and safer if you do this. Be that as it may, however, even when they are brought up on a farm, wild boars do not lose their untamed personalities. They are quick, cautious, and intelligent for their age. Getting a hold of one when it's time to sell it, that is a hard-fought struggle. The ability to catch a wild boar is considered by some farmers to be more difficult than the ability to grow one. But they continue to do it, not only for the financial gain, but also for the pride they feel. Because the cultivation of wild boars in these forests is not the same thing as farming. In a sense, it is a collaboration between people and the natural world, as well as a tradition and a challenge. Let us now investigate the one-of-a-kind method of preparing wild boar that is typical in China. For the first step, the entire carcass is submerged in boiling water for a brief period of time, which is sufficient to release the coarse hair present. It is then time to begin scraping. The chore of cleaning every inch of the thick hide requires a thorough and rhythmic approach, utilizing knives or other specialized instruments. Wild boar that has been roasted is considered more than just a dish. In many regions of China, it's a party to celebrate. Time is required for the process. Over open flames, the meat is roasted slowly, and it is occasionally marinated with herbs and spices that are native to the area. What is the end result? A flavor that is rich and smoky, with a skin that is crispy, and that the locals greatly adore, particularly during celebrations or family get-togethers. On the other hand, wild boar meat is not only excellent, furthermore, it is nutritious. When compared to ordinary pork, it has a higher protein content, a lower fat content, and a greater concentration of minerals such as iron and zinc. For this reason, a growing number of people who are concerned about their health are choosing wild boar as a more natural source of meat. In addition to being roasted, the flesh is often prepared in traditional cuisines by being stir-fried, stewed, or smoked. Even the fat from the boar is highly prized. This concludes the tale of China's wild boars on the whole, being ferocious, intelligent, and unexpectedly well-fed. To manage the semi-wild behavior of farmed wild boars, many modern Chinese farms have adopted advanced monitoring systems. These include GPS trackers attached to ear tags, infrared cameras installed in key forest paths, and even drone surveillance to observe herd movements from above. Such tools help prevent loss, track health, and ensure the animals don't wander into populated areas. Unlike traditional pig farming, this open-range setup requires farmers to think more like wildlife biologists than butchers. In remote and forested areas, these technologies are game changers, allowing humans to coexist with creatures that still retain their wild instincts. Moreover, wild boar farming in China is increasingly being integrated into broader ecological farming systems. In some provinces, farmers have created permaculture models in which wild boars play a natural role, digging up the earth, controlling pests, and fertilizing soil. Their foraging behavior loosens compact ground, stimulates seed germination, and revitalizes the forest floor. This approach not only lowers feed costs, but also supports environmental conservation. As a result, wild boar farming is no longer just a meat-producing business, it's a part of China's growing effort to restore ecological balance while creating sustainable rural livelihoods. However, raising hybrid wild boars in natural settings does not come without ecological concerns. When semi-domesticated boars escape or interbreed with native wild populations, it can lead to genetic pollution, altering the behavior, appearance, and resistance traits of native boars. These changes could impact entire forest ecosystems. Conservationists warn that these hybrid animals may outcompete local species or spread diseases. Therefore, responsible wild boar farming must include fencing boundaries or controlled release zones, especially in biodiversity-rich areas. This challenge highlights the fine line between sustainable farming and environmental intrusion. In addition to ecological concerns, disease prevention is a constant challenge. Unlike caged pigs, wild boars roam freely, making them harder to monitor for symptoms of illness. Outbreaks like African swine fever, ASF, can decimate entire herds and even spread to nearby livestock farms. To address this, some farmers use herbal medicines like ginseng, astragalus, or honeysuckle in the animal's drinking water to boost immunity naturally. Periodic health checks, quarantine pens, and strict biosafety protocols are also becoming more common. Despite these efforts, managing disease in semi-wild conditions requires constant vigilance and a blend of traditional knowledge and modern veterinary science. The growing demand for wild boar meat is not limited to China's domestic market. In recent years, wild boar products have been exported to countries like Japan, South Korea, and parts of Europe, where consumers are drawn to their unique flavor and lower fat content. In urban Chinese markets, wild boar is considered a specialty meat, often served at high-end restaurants or sold in gourmet butcher shops. Exported items include frozen meat cuts, sausages, and canned products. This international reach has incentivized farmers to maintain higher quality standards and obtain health certifications, turning rural boar farming into a globally connected industry. Furthermore, wild boar farming has become a tool for regional branding. Areas like Sichuan, Guangxi, and Fujian have established geographic trademarks for their wild boar products, emphasizing clean mountain air, forest-fed animals, and ancestral techniques. These brands not only fetch premium prices, but also serve as cultural identity markers. Local governments often support this movement by promoting festivals, culinary competitions, and agritourism centered around wild boars. Through this lens, farming becomes more than an economic act. It becomes a celebration of place, tradition, and pride in local resources. Beyond raw meat, wild boar farming in China has diversified into value-added food products. Entrepreneurs and cooperatives produce wild boar sausages, smoked meat, jerky, liver pâté, and canned stews. These items are often vacuum-sealed, labeled with traceable origin codes, and sold online or in specialty stores. In some cases, products are marketed for their medicinal benefits or as part of high-protein, low-fat diets. By investing in food processing, communities increase shelf life, reduce waste, and capture more of the economic value chain. This shift from commodity to brand adds resilience to the rural economy. Historically, the wild boar has symbolized strength, fertility, and perseverance in Chinese mythology. Today, this image is being rebranded for a modern audience. Artisans create boar-shaped souvenirs, feng shui statues, and festival decorations inspired by the animal's powerful energy. Documentaries and short films highlight the man versus beast dynamic of raising such intelligent creatures. In this way, the wild boar transcends its identity as livestock. It becomes a cultural ambassador, representing harmony between human grit and the untamed wild. Looking abroad, China's model of semi-wild boar farming contrasts sharply with practices in other regions. In Europe, wild boars are primarily hunted for sport or conservation. In the U.S., wild hogs are often seen as pests and culled. In contrast, China has developed a middle path, not fully wild, not fully farmed, which allows for both conservation and commercialization. This hybrid model provides an innovative blueprint for countries facing overpopulation of wild pigs or seeking new forms of eco-friendly meat production. Finally, perhaps the most important impact of wild boar farming is its role in poverty alleviation. In mountainous and impoverished areas of China, raising wild boars has become a lifeline. Families who once relied on unstable income sources now earn a living by selling meat, hides, and specialty products. Some have even transformed their farms into ecotourism spots, offering tourists the chance to see or taste wild boar up close. By blending nature, tradition, and entrepreneurship, wild boar farming stands as a remarkable example of how rural China is reinventing itself, one hoofprint at a time.